With experienced goalkeeper Martin Hodge out injured, 18-year-old Steve Jones, a first-year professional, is pitched into a testing FA Cup debut today for Hartlepool. He played just half a dozen games in Division 3 last season, but has been in this Hartlepool side, which has won the last 2 matches. Number 4, Phil Gilchrist, is another teenager making his cup debut in central defence, alongside the veteran John McPhail, who at 37 is playing in his 48th FA Cup tie. Crystal Palace shared the title of being the most successful team in England during December, but with Andy Thorne out after suffering concussion, they've had to bring in Bobby Bowery to play on the right side of midfield. He's a player who trained with them without a contract for a year after being released by Queen's Park Rangers. Eddie McGoldrick will continue in his role as sweeper. Steve Coppell will be well aware of just how testing an occasion this could be for Crystal Palace. They've been knocked out in the 3rd round of the Cup 4 times in the last 5 years. Referee Dermot Gallagher of Oxford had a long inspection 2 hours before kick-off. The pitch is firm. It's a raw northeastern afternoon, but the bounce of the ball is certain to be awkward. Palace on the attack first of all. Armstrong. This is McGoldrick. Showed too much of that to Olsen. Emerson underneath it. Didn't quite find his midfield partner. Oh, he's got a good touch on him, Andy Saville. Oh, and he's lifted that over the top, trying to find Olsen. And the bounce is awkward, and that time it favoured Palace. Chris Coleman needs a bit of support. Jeff Thomas breaking forward, the first real chance. Great stop by the youngster. Out of play by Eric Young. What a... Saville. A sort of flick out to Southall. Faced by Humphrey. McGoldrick timed his tackle to perfection. He just stood off Eddie McGoldrick. He's had an impressive first half for Crystal Palace, and he's been busy too. Emerson. That's Richard Shaw's clearing header. That's awkward. And it was a good opportunity for Dean Emerson. Nigel Martin had stayed on his goal line. The ball speculatively knocked forward by Ryan Cross, and while others waited, Eric Young watched. Emerson got to it first and might well have made more of that sort of range. John McPhail getting the better of Armstrong, and Hartlepool back in possession. Saville. Oh, Cross got a fortunate rebound. Still Cross. Oh, and he nearly got it through to John Rose. Good tackle by Gilchrist. Oh, and a real scrap going on. Play waved on. Well, there was a fortunate rebound when Cross got forward. He looks as though he'd lost it with 2 Palace players ahead of him, but it ran very kindly, and he almost managed to squeeze it through to Lee John Rose. Saville. This is Brian Honour. Whipped in by Olsen. Oh, John Rose! That was the opportunity, surely, for Lee John Rose. Emerson will take it. Looking for John Rose. Oh, it was going in, was it? Martin looked just a little bit slow in getting down. Maybe he was being absolutely positive and making sure there wasn't an awkward bounce. Corner Hartlepool. Didn't get past the first defenders. Corner number 2. And in a crowd of just under 7,000, there are barely 600 carrying the colours of Crystal Palace. Coleman trying to defend the near post and does so successfully. Corner number 3. Andy Saville again making a nuisance of himself by that near post. This time it's hit much longer. And this time it's Jeff Thomas who turns it over. Corner number 4. Desperate defending for Palace. And Jeff Thomas now going to stand alongside John McPhail. Played in by Honour. Header out was by Eric Young. Hartlepool throw. Second half. And there's not a thought in anybody's mind for the tricky conditions. Nobody pulling out of challenges, nobody pulling out of tackles. John Rose's header, this time it loops over. Knocked in by Ryan Cross. And this time he got right underneath it. Martin just shepherding it over the bar. The Palace are really pinned back in their own half at the moment. Yes, appeals for an obstruction, and it's given. Is it? Well, I think he's pointed at the penalty spot. It looked at the first instance as though he'd possibly blown for an obstruction. But there's no doubt that Mr. Gallagher has given a penalty. Well, there's a push by Richard Shaw on Southall, which some may have interpreted as an obstruction, but it's a foul, it's a free kick, and Andy Saville places the ball on the spot, and Crystal Palace are stunned. Nigel Martin to face Hartlepool's top goal scorer, Andy Saville. The second division side lead against the team from the Premier League, but it will rankle with Crystal Palace. It looked as though Shaw half tried to get out of the way. There was no doubt there was a contact between him and Nicky Southall. But was it worth a penalty? The referee makes a decision. He says yes. 1-0 Hartlepool. And the header on by Chris Coleman was tame. A minute of time added on for injuries. Already been played. The referee has his whistle out. That's it. Hartlepool are the giant killers of the third round, beating Steve Coppell's Crystal Palace by 1-0. And the Palace players involved in furious protests at the referee at the final whistle. And Richard Shaw, who was adjudged to have conceded the penalty, needing to be restrained. But Hartlepool don't mind. 1-0 against Crystal Palace. The Andy Saville penalty to put them into the fourth round for only the fourth time in their history. How did you see the penalty? Because Richard Shaw had to be restrained at the end of the match from confronting the referee.
Well, the position that I'm at watching the match is difficult for me to comment on it. The referee was very close. He had no doubt about it being a penalty. And if it's a win or lose situation, we've won on that occasion. Yeah, Nicky just had a touch through there, and he's gone past him, and it's a difficult one from there. Even there, you know, if it had been against me, I would have been probably a bit upset about it. But I'm taking it because we've had them against us.
We thought we'd done okay. It's a very, very difficult place to come to. It's a day which I don't think anybody would relish playing football. The conditions were hard underfoot, slippery, and we thought we'd done the lion's share of the job, and then all of a sudden a penalty pops up out of nowhere, and it didn't really give us any time to get back into the game, so we're out.
I mean, do you agree with the penalty decision? Richard Shaw had to be restrained at the final whistle from approaching the referee, presumably to protest.
Well, I was very upset. I saw the incident from 40, 50 yards away at ground level, and I couldn't believe it. I thought he'd blown for a goal kick at first, and then I realised from the reaction of the players round about that he had blown for a penalty. I think that's the winger there who's got the ball south, though. Like, it seems to me he runs more into Richard than anything else. Richard's just going across him. There's no way is he inhibiting his progress to getting the ball. Just seems to run out of play.